Welcome to the Speaker's Primer, Fountainhead Press's most popular public speaking text. The concise tips and tricks style makes this text perfect for customization, offering just the right breadth and depth of coverage to serve as a solid foundation for any public speaking course. The Top Hat edition of the primer extends its appeal by adding interactive elements and expanding upon the pedagogical concepts presented in each chapter. Auto-graded assessment is woven throughout, engaging students along the way and sometimes reducing the need for additional quizzing outside of chapters. The primer also includes all the ancillary materials important to faculty, things like test banks, student sample speeches, outlines, and PowerPoint presentations to help instructors create effective learning experiences for their students. Let's take a look at the text's newest chapter, Chapter 4, Civility. This chapter showcases new content the authors added for this edition in order to address civility in communication, a subject that's front of mind for many people these days, and especially for public speaking and communication instructors. This chapter also features several different types of interactive elements, making it a great option for seeing how Top Hat's functionality makes Fountainhead's content come alive in the platform. Each chapter opens with a list of objectives. These objectives summarize what students will be able to learn and do by working through the chapter. And it's with these objectives in mind that we've created the interactive features, so videos and questions and discussion prompts are not simply there for pizzazz, though they do often look cool. They're truly placed thoughtfully to support students in meeting the learning objectives of each chapter. The first interaction in Chapter 4 is a video about what civility is and how its definition has evolved. The video is paired with first an open-ended question that provides space for students to show they watched and understood the video. Then a discussion prompt asks them to take what they learned from the video and create their own definition along with their classmates. So just in this one spot for interaction, they've worked at each of the chapter objectives: define, identify, and discuss civility. Later, the second open-ended question asks students to do some research beyond the text, to find their own examples of the behaviors being described. So they're not simply ingesting the material, but cooking up their own knowledge as well. The hover definitions summarize key points for understanding. Automatic grading questions like matching are a great way to gauge student comprehension of those key points, like this one, which asks them to match a key term with a real-world example. Another video details listening skills and is paired with a brief, auto-graded question where students can show they've watched the video and taken away its key points. Now that they've learned about what civility is, the chapter shows students where and how civility shows up in contexts with which they're familiar. They're asked in a discussion to paint their own pictures of what civility in the classroom would look like by writing a code of conduct for acting with civility in this class. Because they write their code of conduct in a discussion post, they exchange their ideas with other students in the class, and together they can create a shared code of conduct that takes into account everyone's input. In this way, they're actively practicing civility. A final video then takes an understanding of civility to a business setting, a context with which students are likely less familiar. After watching this video, they revisit the code of conduct they drafted in the previous discussion and slightly modify it to connect it to what success would look like in this class. So, as you can see, these individual points of interaction don't exist in a vacuum, but instead work together to support the learning objectives of the chapter. These points of interaction can function simply as suggestions, too. Perhaps an instructor agrees that a key point is to be gained from this section, but has a different video or question they prefer to use in its place. Replacing is easy, and in this case, the interactions we've created can act as nudges. A nudge saying that something here would be helpful. Use what we've provided or provide your own. And that's the Speaker's Primer in a nutshell.